free world.
Yeah. My hitters be moving and shaking and stay out the streets. Yeah. Your hitters be hating, your hitters be looking so weak. Yeah. My hitters be moving and shaking and stay out the streets. Yeah. Your hitters be hating, your hitters be looking so. Snuff the shooter, snuff the looter, snuff the booster, snuff the money mover. Snuff the hater, snuff the player, snuff your hairline, tape up and shape up.
Hail to the culture, a Washington football team podcast. We are back. It's your boy Rome and your man Bryce. We're going to start off with a little bit of somber news, though, as we have all heard Coach Ron Rivera has been diagnosed with cancer. A lot of people have been affected by cancer. I've dealt with it in my family. This is a very serious thing. He's plans to keep coaching through it. They have some backup plans in place, which we'll get into here in a second. But, usually we start this show off with an upbeat spirit, but we're going to take a little serious note for Coach Ron and send our prayers and our best wishes to him and his family. Bryce, what was your first reaction when you heard this horrible news?
My instant reaction was just, well wishes for Coach Ron, man. He's been a stand-up guy since the moment he's entered our organization, and it just sucks to see, this stuff like this happen to the good ones. That's for sure. And then, obviously, second, man, the fan side of me turned on, and I'm just like, what the hell, man? Like, we can't catch a break at all. Not just to say someone's health is us catching a break, but you know what I mean. Like, it's just like, wow, man. If it's not one thing, it's another. 2020 hasn't just been a crazy year in America, but it's been a crazy year for the Redskins, man, I think, to say the least. So just another thing for the football team to have to bounce back from. But, maybe this could be something that galvanizes the guys. This could be something that, builds that camaraderie where everyone's looking around like we got to do this for Coach. And in my opinion, I'm not trying to make any bold predictions, but like this is the type of things that can really turn around an entire team's morale. People can just get behind this and give them a real reason to go out there and kill it when the season comes.
Yeah, absolutely, man. My first reaction was sadness. I've actually lost people in my family to cancer. But then the more that I listened to Coach Ron talk and his plan for the season, he plans to continue coaching, I felt inspiration, because like you were just alluding to how it could build something for the players. I feel like as fans, I too was like, what next? Everything keeps happening to this team. But I think as fans, we're truly blessed with Coach Rivera to be in a situation where it's like this man plans on still coaching despite the fact that he just got diagnosed. That is a level of toughness and braveness that I think the entire DMV area could get behind and support. And I've seen a lot of support for Coach Ron as it should be. But, yeah, man, I think this is very inspirational. I think what he's trying to do won't just galvanize the team, but it'll also galvanize the area, which is exactly what we need because this last decade of football has not been great in this area.
Yeah, no, that's facts, man. That's facts, and I'm with you on that, bro. I really think that this is the type of thing that you can turn this this perception of this negative thing that just happened into a positive for the team, and I think that we could look back at this season and be like, wow, man, who could have guessed that after going through that with Coach Ron that we're here where we are, wherever we end up. But the more and more I think about this season, the more and more things that happen, man. I know it sounds odd, but the more and more faith that I have in this being a pretty huge turnaround from last year.
Yeah, absolutely, man, absolutely. And going back to what you said about it galvanizing the players, AP actually said today that the best way they could help Ron is to be stress-free, and that's to stack wins. So I think this will be a positive for the team, man. But let's get back into some more football talk. They had practice today. Camp's going on still. Coach Ron is still coaching. He wants to keep pushing forward, so we're going to do the same. So let's talk about some of these reports from out of camp, bro. Dwayne Haskins, by all accounts, has been a little bit of a mixed bag, bro. We obviously can't be there this year due to COVID. We went down there and got to see for ourselves what Dwayne was looking like last season. So obviously we haven't been there, but I would say compared to what we saw last season to this season, he's night and day different. But what's your review of Dwayne Haskins so far in training camp?
Well, like you said, man, we're only getting bits and pieces, so we got to try to form our opinion with that. And there's not much to do that with. But From everything I've been hearing, it's been a lot of up and down from Dwayne. Sometimes he's missing throws, sometimes he's hitting them, sometimes he looks like he has commanded the offense, sometimes it looks like he's still guessing. But in my opinion, that's to be expected. I mean, they're probably running all sorts of things just to get guys' feet wet. So you gotta think that the more and more comfortable he gets in the offense, the more and more we'll see better accuracy from him. But that's number one thing I'm saying from beat reporters commenting on the accuracy. But on the flip side, everything I'm hearing from the players is telling me that Dwayne is commanding the guys, commanding the huddle. And that is a big thing for a young guy. I mean, whenever you're a leader in any situation, people got to know that, they can come to rely on you. You know what I mean? They got to come to trust your judgment in these situations. And that only happens by you doing that over and over and over again and being that same guy over and over and over again. So it seems like Dwayne has figured that part out, that part of the leadership aspect that comes with the quarterback position. And as he continues to figure that out, man, I think the other side of things will come. Because I think last year we saw the other side of things, man. We saw his potential, his arm strength, his accuracy. We saw him being able to be mobile in the pocket. We saw that, right? But the things that we didn't see as much were maybe some more of the command type of things, controlling the guys, you know what I mean, in and out of the huddle. Even had heard some reports of guys saying that he would be mumbling the plays sometimes, not super sure of himself in the huddle. So things like that. And then another thing that comes to my mind is on the sideline, the interaction he had with Morgan Moses that one game. So, you think about things like that, and I think the more and more that side comes to meet with the football side, I expect us to have a really good quarterback this year.
Yeah, I agree completely, man. For Dwayne, the growth really just needs to be shown in leadership, and the rest will follow. He definitely has the talent and the work ethic, and by all accounts, the leadership has been shown in camp. As far as the actual plays from what's being reported, my takeaway is more so that the offensive line is a struggle. Left guard and left tackle, I've heard good things about Wes Martin. It seems like Wes Martin is going to be locked in as the starter. But, on Morgan Moses' day off and when he gets a vet day and we have some guys moving around there on the offensive line in and out of the left tackle spot, it just has not been good up front at all from what I've been seeing. And we all know if you're not good up front, if you don't have time to throw, whatever you're doing is going to be 10 times harder as a quarterback. So the fact that Dwayne has had a mixed bag or has been up at all with a line that's going against the top-tier defensive line that we all agree on, that is a positive sign, in my opinion, for Dwayne, that he can have any positive plays with a line that is basically being shuffled in and out. So that's my biggest takeaway on Dwayne. I think he's going in the right direction. I think the coaching staff needs to get the offensive line straightened out. I believe they will. And once that's straightened out, I feel like Dwayne's play will really start clicking. We're going to talk a little bit in a minute about the wide receiver position. I think that's another spot, wide receiver and tight end as well, where those positions will need to see step up if we really want to see Dwayne's play on the field. But I would caution everyone, don't judge Dwayne this season necessarily just off his stats and his numbers. Judge him off his leadership and how he handles the adversity that this team is guaranteed to face throughout the season.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that, man. I also think that one reason we'll see a better Dwayne this year is because whether it's real or not, this staff is showing confidence in Dwayne. This staff is showing let's not even say confidence. This staff is showing investment in Dwayne, right? Last year, like you said, we were out at training camp. We got a first-hand look. Dwayne was basically being treated like a third-round, practice squatter last season. That's just being honest, man. He was off on the side fields working with guys while Keenum and McCoy were on the main fields, right? And that didn't sit well with me just because it's like you're not showing an investment into this guy, right? And from Jump Street, I think that Ron Rivera and company, Scott Turner included, they've shown that investment in Dwayne. I think that goes a long way for a young guy. I think that goes a long way for a young guy who's still trying to find his way. It almost, validates him, validates that he's doing the right thing. So I'm excited to see what comes of it. Yeah, I'm super excited to see what comes with it. Man, one other thing, man, before we move on to the pod, I wanted to touch on some of these injuries, man. Few injuries that have happened to a couple of our young guys that I definitely had high hopes for, man. One was Thaddeus Moss, who we ended up releasing. Hopefully he's able to slide his way back to the practice squad because I had high hopes for him. Maybe I was just on a fan tip with that. But and also Sadiq Charles. He's been wrapped up the entire time. So we still haven't got to look at Sadiq, man. I saw a photo of him with his leg wrapped, bro, this dude has, like, buffalo legs, bro. Like, his calf muscles were ridiculous. So, I mean, hopefully that means something when he gets on the field. But what do you think about us releasing Moss? Were you surprised by that?
Honestly, I wasn't too surprised because of all the talk that I've heard out of camp. I have not heard his name at all, with the exception of he had a really ugly number for his jersey. I believe it was like 46 or some random number, which was kind of a tall tale sign of you're going to get cut. But, you know, the tight end position on Washington right now is not plentiful. It's not plentiful. I've heard good things about Logan Thomas, especially in today's practice. It seems like he's getting a little bit of a rhythm with Dwayne. And for me, that's as a tight end, whoever's going to win the tight end position battle, it's all about your rhythm with Dwayne and how comfortable Dwayne feels throwing you the ball, because tight ends are essentially safety blankets for quarterbacks, and Dwayne's got to feel confident that you're going to be in that spot and catch the ball and make the play every time, because that's really your bailout. So we saw last year, Jeremy Sprinkle did not do a good job of bailing out Dwayne Haskins. So if Thaddeus Moss couldn't step up and do enough to impress the coaches in a group of tight ends where I feel like the talent level isn't that high, then I'm going to kind of put that blame on him. But like you said, maybe he can catch on. The rosters are going to be expanded. Maybe he can slide onto the practice squad and still work out for Washington. We shall see. As far as Sadiq Charles, man, I can't wait for him to get a chance to actually get in there, because I have not liked what I've heard or seen from Jerron Christian or Cornelius Lucas. So I think it is imperative for Sadiq to not only be healthy, but to get some practice reps in, because there's still a strong chance that he's a starting left tackle. No preseason games make this hard to really judge, especially since we can't be at the camp. But if I had to put any chips on it, I would put more chips on the Charles starting at left tackle. If he can get healthy here, really this coming week. If he doesn't get to practice this week, time is short before week 1, and you can't just throw a guy out there, especially a rookie, to protect the quarterback's blind side. And one more injury that I don't know if you mentioned it. I didn't hear you if you did. Chase Young. Chase Young hasn't been practicing. He might have been doing some individuals today, if I remember correctly. But he had somewhat of a hip flexor, I believe Ron Rivera said, and he was day to day. How worried are you about Chase Young? Is that something we should be concerned about, or are they just being extra precautious with the rookie?
Bro, if I didn't have this history with my team, I would say it's nothing to worry about. But I do have this history with my team, and I have seen things like this start off just being nothing, end up being lingering, and end up not even seeing a guy on the field. But like you said, man, it's something small, you know. So for this, I'm gonna say it's a non-story, because I heard he was back on the field today. I know one thing, man. That one clip of him throwing, I don't know who 79 is, I'm sure he got cut. Because my man threw 79 around like a rag doll, man. I think that was the clip of training camp. So after I saw that, in my eyes, man, you could just take Chase Young off the field now. Let's just put him in a box, man. Let's put him in a bubble wrap box, and let's not even bring him on the field till week 1 at Philly, man.
Honestly, I'm glad you said that, because I feel like that's how the coaches feel. I feel like they've seen enough from Young to know, you know, he can practice and really ramp it up before the game, you know. But there's no need for him to risk further injury doing this. Right. And I'm going to liken this back to last season. Montez Sweat had a bit of I think it was a hamstring or some type of lower leg injury. And people were a little worried back then in preseason because he missed a game or two. But, you know, it's still camp. It's still preseason. Anyone that's hurt, you just got to take it easy. There's no need to push it. This isn't the playoffs. You don't need to go out there, take a cortisone shot and try to fight through the pain. You know what I mean? Just heal up, you know? It's August. It's August. A marathon, not a sprint. But speaking of Chase Young, let's keep it on the D-line, man. The D-line has been showing out. And you just mentioned that video that went viral where Chase Young straight ragdoll a grown man as if he was a young child. Shout out to 79, though, man. Hopefully you learn from that. Yeah, so what other D-linemen have impressed you, man? I've heard a lot of good names coming out of camp. Who stood out the most?
Yeah. It like I said, man, it's tough. I haven't seen too much with my own eyes, and I'm just going to try to base it off what the vibes that the coaching staff is giving me. And one guy, man, that I would keep my eye on that the coaching staff seems to be in love with is Ryan Anderson. Now I know some Skins fans have had issues with Anderson in the past. To me, I've always loved the effort he gives and the physicality he plays with. Not to mention last season he had 5 forced fumbles. I mean, That's not like – I'll take 5 forced fumbles over 5 sacks. You know what I mean? So I don't know, like, how you guys look at it, but Ryan Anderson is a baller. He was a baller at Alabama. Everybody looked at him as a leader. He came to the Redskins, and he's still viewed as that same leader. And I think this coaching staff is seeing that. And I'm just excited to see how they unleash him, man. I'm excited to see how they unleash him. I saw his presser the other day. He was talking about how this is the first time that he's kind of playing with really no responsibilities as far as outside shoulder, inside shoulder, attacking this way. He's just free to go in Del Rio's system. And I think not only Ryan Anderson, but a lot of guys will get some better stats because of that. Now, like you said earlier, man, neither of us have liked the reports about the O-line thus far. So part of the D-line showing out at the level they have could just be the O-line is that trash. Let's hope not, but that could be it.
That could very well be it. So I'm glad you also mentioned that because that could very well be it. But that's all we can go off right now, right? No one's playing preseason games. They're not doing any scrimmages. So it's not like we're going to get to go up against another group that is better or worse or whatever to really give it a fair shot. So going off what we've heard from the great beat reporters of this Washington football team, and I do believe we have some great beat reporters, the D lineman that stood out the most to me, in my opinion, is John Allen. And that goes back to the same reasons that we were talking about Dwayne, and that's leadership. John Allen is not necessarily a flashy guy. He doesn't speak too often. He's kind of a let your actions speak for you kind of guy. But when he did speak the other day in his press conference, he spoke volumes, man. Like he is a Ron Rivera. He's a Ron Rivera guy to a T. Like I feel like he is that exact type of player that Ron Rivera wants, the exact type of player that Ron wants to help instill this culture. And this is a contract year for Allen, so let's not forget that. Jonathan Allen is probably going to have a very big year, and I think he's not even just going to do it with the numbers and the stats, but I think he's going to do it leading this team. So my number one D-line show out for training camp is definitely Jonathan Allen.
Yeah, and I think that Jonathan Allen could be a guy where, we could see him getting a contract mid-season, and I would love that. One more guy that the coaching staff seems to be very high on is Tim Settle. I'm super high on Tim Settle. He's one of my favorite guys on the D-line. I got to see him a decent amount at Virginia Tech, and I always thought he was super agile to be as big as he was. Ron Rivera's noticed that, and Ron Rivera, every time he talks about the D-line, he brings up Tim Settle, and he's gushing over him. So that's another guy to look out for, man. I think Tim Settle could have a big year. I think this D-line is a rotation, man. This is, in my opinion, I think this is a fact. This is the best D-line we've had in 20 years.
Oh, absolutely. This is probably easily the best D-line we've had in the last 20 years. And I want to give a big shout-out to Tim Settle, too, man. I'm from the same area, He went to Stonewall. He just recently had a baby. Congratulations on that. Big fan of Tim Settle. I think us being in the 4-3 will give him more opportunities, and he will definitely show out. I mean, he's a guy who's, like Ryan Anderson, has shown out regardless of, where he's at in the depth chart, how many snaps he's getting. When he's in there, he's making an impact. And him and Ryan Anderson both show up on film, and I think those guys will quietly have a big year. Those are two sleepers right there.
Yeah, facts. Another thing I got to shout out, man, is my boy Tim Settle's sack celebration, man. That's my favorite celebration. He just does this little jump thing to the sides, man. It's hard to explain, but you got to Google it. Yo, Tim Settle's celebration is classic, man. Hey, Tim Settle, if you listening, bro, never change that celebration, bro. That's top 3 in the league. And it's damn sure not 3.
Facts, man, facts. All right, let's keep it on the defensive side, bro. The coaching staff has been impressed with one Ronald Darby, and I am honestly super excited about this. The cornerback position, we're also going to get into here in a second, has been a position that I've been kind of worried about. We brought in Norman a few years ago. That did not pan out. Dunbar was like a homegrown star. He ended up going to Seattle. And now we're left with some young guys, and we brought in Fuller, which is huge. But we also brought in Ronald Darby, who is a guy who, in my opinion, was on his way to being one of the better corners in the league until some injuries may have slowed him down from that. Bryce, what is your analysis on Ronald Darby before he got to the team, and what do you think he's going to do this season? He's on a 1-year deal. Do you see him possibly, getting a bigger deal once the season's over?
I hope so, man. Like you said about Tim Settle, he's from your area. Ronald Darby's from mine, man. PG County guy. I want to say he went to Oxon Hill, Potomac. I think he went to Potomac. But he's a PG guy, man. So I got a loads of respect for him. And I know it's just a fact. He didn't have a great tenure in Philadelphia. I think his first year was probably better than his second. But he didn't show great in Philly. But that guy that was in Buffalo, that guy was a dog. That guy that was at Florida State, that guy was a dog. And that guy that played at Potomac, that guy was a dog. So I'm not going to take a year or two of, lackluster performance and say that this guy can't get back to it. We've seen cornerbacks that were great cornerbacks. Nam Diasmo. Go to Philly and be trash, man. It's a thing.
Yeah,
like,
something about Philly.
Darius Slay might be next in line. I hate to say it, but I've already seen videos of Slay getting burnt up. We've seen this happen before in Philly. They ruin cornerbacks, and maybe that year was just ruining Darby by being in Philly. This guy's only 26 years old. Like I said, in Buffalo, he was a stud. Florida State, he was a stud. I can see it continuing here in Washington. I think that's we're going to actually jump into these position battles in a second. But it's going to be very interesting to see who ends up getting that starting spot opposite of Kendall Fuller. I mean, they gave Kendall Fuller the big money, so he'll be on the field when in every set. Maybe he's in the slot when it goes to 3 wide, but he'll be on the field at the outside corner in most sets. Now the question is who plays opposite of him. It could be Darby, but I honestly love Darby's game. I love his attacking style, and I hope that this defense is the right fit for him.
Hey, man, I know we're going to do the position battles in a second, but I'll say it right now. I think Darby is a lock. When it's not 3 wide, Darby will certainly be the guy on the outside opposite Fuller. We'll name some guys in a second that'll probably push for that spot too, but I'm like 99% sure Darby's going to have that on lock. I mean, you said it, bro. When he was in college, he was a dog. At Buffalo, like I said, he was on his way to really being one of the top 10 best corners in the league. Got to Philly, some injuries slowed him down or whatever. But in the same way that you say Philly ruins corners, I would say Washington even has a little bit of a cornerback resurgence. We've had a little history of that. Sean Springs, he was on the downhill, got to Washington, kind of found his way again. Fred Smoot, we sent him to Minnesota, had a little rough time, got back to Washington, found his way again. And one of my all-time favorites, D'Angelo Hall, had a lot of trouble out there in Oakland. Atlanta didn't end well, went to Oakland, came to Washington. Incredible player once again, you know what I'm saying? So Darby could really be the next guy in line to be a corner that comes to Washington and has a career resurgence. I truly believe that, and I see that. So I'm gonna say this now, man. I guarantee he gets a new deal with the Washington football team, and he'll be a proud member of whatever our new mascot will be in 2021.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's jump right into it, man. Let's get into this cornerback talk. Position battles. The cornerback, I think it's going to be an interesting one, man. Because don't get me wrong, I like Darby. I really like Darby a lot. But in my opinion, Fabian Moreau started to come on last season. He started to show me some things, and that's a speedy guy that's big and long and physical. And maybe we could see a situation where Kendall Fuller is switched more into a utility role, playing the slot, playing outside sometimes, depending on matchups, even playing some safety. And we've got, Moreau and Darby on the outside. I can see that happening.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. And I actually mentioned something about the cornerbacks I did a little blog on the site, goodasssportsblog.com. Check it out on the app where I mentioned the corners. It's gonna be very important because obviously a lot of the time we will be in a 3-wide receiver set, or the offense will be in a 3-wide receiver set or a 4-wide receiver set, forcing the team to play nickel or dime. So Fuller will most likely be in the slot because, let's be honest, he's dominant in the slot, meaning Darby will certainly be one of the guys on the outside. And I could definitely see Moreau being the other guy. But I got to say, man, the coaching staff has been raving about Jimmy Moreland. Something about him, man, that I don't have the exact quote in front of me, but Rivera was talking about him the other day and was basically saying that even when he's on another planet and even when he's not really all the way focused in, somehow he still seems to make the right play or to find a way towards the ball. And we heard a lot of those same things from the previous coaching staff about him having a nose for the ball. And he's just the guy that even when he's out of position finds a way to get back in position and impact the play in some way. And if he can really get his focus up and dive into the playbook and really understand what Haslett wants him or what Del Rio wants him to do, then I think Moreland could do numbers in this defense, especially considering that Del Rio likes to play man, and that's right up the lane of Darby and Moreland and guys like that. So I think Moreland will push Monroe for that spot. I do believe Fabian has the slight edge, though, because you're right. He did come on a lot last season. 2 picks in 1 game. I believe it was 3 picks in 2 weeks, to be completely honest. So dude isn't a slouch. I think he did get a little nicked up in practice today, so we'll monitor that and see how that goes. But another guy that I want to mention in this is Greg Stroman. I've been hearing a lot about him too. What are your thoughts on the depth at corner, man? We got some guys.
You know, we definitely got some depth, man. And you know, I always loved Moreland in that slot role. I like, honestly, to me, and I know this is going to might sound a little crazy, but Moreland might even be a safety, bro, like on the hybrid type of role, almost where it's almost like a Tyrann Mathieu type of guy. And it would require him bulking up a little bit because he doesn't have a huge frame, but the way he tackles, he's a great tackler. He brings the wood when he tackles. And he's also, like you said, man, he's a playmaker. He sees ball, he goes and gets ball. I mean, if you don't remember last preseason, please just Google, you know, Jimmy Moreland Redskins preseason, because he was killing it. And I could see him. I think Jimmy Moreland's got to see the field. I don't know if he's ready to man that outside spot, only because I haven't seen a ton of them there. The last coaching staff loved him in the slot, and that's just where they decided he was going to play. So the more and more we see it, maybe that could grow on me. But right now, I love to see Jimmy in the slot in a rover type of role where he can kind of just go out there and make plays. But Greg Stroman is another guy, man, that, you know, his rookie season was great. I mean, not great by league standard, but great by, you know, rookie corner standards. I mean, that dude was balling his rookie year. And
7th round pick, man.
Yep.
7th round pick, definitely balling for a 7th rounder. No
doubt. Ended up getting some injuries, you know, last season slowed him down. Got out of favor a little bit once a guy like Moreland stepped up. But you know, whenever you've got a brand new coaching staff, there's no opinions on you. You get to form your own opinion. So Stroman has already shown us that he's got ability. He definitely has ability. So I'm sure he'll be in that mix. And like I said earlier, this, in my opinion, is the best D-line group we've had in 20 years. This, in my opinion, is the best cornerback, and this doesn't sound good, but this is the best cornerback room we've had in some time. I'm not going to put a year on it, but in some time. And I like it because you've got decent experience with Darby and Fuller. Then you've got some young guys who could possibly be studs in Moreland and Moreau. So and Stroman. I'll throw him on there too. So I don't know, man. I'm excited. I'm really excited about this cornerback group.
Yeah, man. I'm glad you mentioned Moreland at safety, because that is what Ron said. Ron said that Moreland is the type of guy who says, put me in any position and I'll try to excel. So you might be onto something, bro. You might have your Nostradamus hat on right here. We might actually see a little bit of Moreland in the mix of safety. And I know this wasn't on the production sheet, but let's talk about safety for a second, bro, because, you know, they brought in Sean Davis. I haven't heard too much about him this camp, but one name that has surprised me that I've heard a ton of that I did not expect to hear is Troy Apke. He's apparently been running exclusively with the ones next to Landon Collins. What are your thoughts on Troy Apke? Because I believe this will be his 3rd season, and I haven't been impressed. My opinion, I haven't been impressed outside of some special teams plays. He's been great on special teams. But what do you think about him possibly starting at safety across from Landon Collins?
Well, I mean, believe it or not, he had the highest rated safety grade in the NFC East last year. Yes, that was Troy Apke with that. I think that his measurables, man, we've always known, like from the moment Deion said, that boy can run. I think we knew we had, you know, there was something special there in Troy Apke, at least as far as a physical standpoint goes. Now, he must be putting it together. He must be putting it together in this new system, because these guys seem to level. One thing about systems, man, and young players is that a system can completely change who a guy is. So maybe Troy Apke is in a more of a read and react system, because it seemed like last year he got caught out of place in moments because maybe there was just a little too much to remember. And I think it seems like this Del Rio system is a lot more reading and reacting, a lot more going off your instincts. And maybe for a guy like Apke, that could be just what he needs to excel.
Yeah, that is an excellent point, because a lot of guys were caught out of position in Minuski's defense last season. So it could just be the change of scenery, the change of defense, the defensive scheme that helps Apke out. But one guy that honestly Apke reminds me of, and not because of any racial undertones, is Reed Doughty. He was another guy who was a great special teams player, but necessarily didn't necessarily look the part, or you didn't necessarily feel like he was going to go out there and be a great safety. But Reed Doughty made plays now, and if Troy Apke can go out there and not give up plays and make the plays that he needs to play, he doesn't necessarily have to be an Earl Thomas or a All-Pro or a Hall of Fame type guy to be a solid starter. And if that's what he's developing into, then I think that was a great pick. And I trust Ron and Jack Del Rio when it comes to defense. So if he's running with the ones, then sounds like a plan to me.
Yeah. I mean, look, I like Troy Apke, especially if he's able to put on a little weight. I always thought he was, a little small. But I mean, you say Reed Doughty, who I like. Man, maybe he could become something like a Harrison Smith. Not to just stay on white dudes the whole time, But like, I hate when people do that, honestly. So I hate doing it. My apologies, Troy. But maybe he can be that. Maybe he can be a little more. I think with Troy, I just want to see him be a little more rugged, a little more physical.
A little bit more like Bob Sanders. A little bit more like Bob Sanders, right?
Right.
There's a good comparison.
Exactly. That's a great one. I think that that's what was missing, in my opinion, was the physicality, the ability to lay some lumber. But maybe a lot of that could just been out of position. And like I said, man, this read and react defense, we might see some guys we weren't expecting to show out. Maybe actually be the first one of those.
Yeah, definitely, man. But let's go ahead and switch to the other side of the ball, the actual opposite side of the DBs, and let's end this on the offensive note. Circle back to the wide receivers real quick. I mentioned that this will be a big thing for Dwayne, man, because we talked a lot about Dwayne's growth and how he'll look on the field. Who will his receivers be? Obviously, we know Terry's going to be wide receiver 1, right? But the scary thing is, everybody knows that. Everybody knows Terry's going to be lit coming in now. It's not going to surprise people. He's going to see double teams. He's going to see bumps at the line. He's going to see all kinds of things. I'm sure Scott Turner will be creative in where he puts Terry to make sure that he can get free still. But Terry's going to need help from the rest of the receiver group. So, Bryce, who will be wide receiver number 2 opposite of Terry McLaurin week 1 against the Eagles?
Put me on the spot here, Rome, because that is a tough and great question, man. We must mention that Cody Latimer was just released by the team today, I believe. So there goes one option out the window, man. Ron Rivera's not playing with these guys that get accused or charged of anything. So let me think, man. We're talking about opposite. Right now, my money would be on Steven Sims Jr. I've heard Dontrell Inman is doing a lot of running with the ones, but Dontrell Inman's not a huge threat. I know people love Steven Sims Jr. in the slot, but I think he's an outside. I think he's more of an Antonio Brown than a Curtis Samuel. I think he's more of an outside guy than an inside guy. I love Steven Sims, so if I had to pencil it in now, I'd say McLaurin outside, Sims outside, and not too sure who they would go with in that slot. Maybe a guy like Trey Quinn ends up getting that. Another guy you got to think about is Gandy Golden. Now, I will say, if Kelvin Harmon would have been available, he would have been my lock. Kelvin Harmon showed me a ton last year, and I think that Rivera and company were high on him. With him going down, I give it to Sims, and I think Gandy Golden with an outside looking in chance. It's all depending on how quick he can pick up the offense.
Yeah, man. Quick piggyback off the Kelvin Harmon point, man. It's a shame to see him injured. Best wishes to him. Can't wait for him to get back. That's a guy that we did watch closely at training camp last year. We actually saw him practicing with Norman after practice. He's the guy who puts in a ton of work and really takes his craft serious. So definitely can't wait to see his comeback. But as far as the guys that we do have going into this season, like I said, Terry's obviously going to be the number 1. And if you're going to put me on the spot and say who's going to be wide receiver 2, who's going to play – Terry will probably be X. Who's going to be the Z guy? I would have to go with Inman. From what I'm hearing from the beat reporters, it sounds like he got the experience edge because we got a lot of guys that are young. I feel like he's developing something with Dwayne here going. And I just feel like they'll really use Steve Sims exclusively in the slot. Maybe not exclusively. I'm sure they'll switch it up because any smart offense always switches it up, especially with the receivers. But I feel like Steve Sims will be a guy that we see just dominate in the slot, especially in Scott Turner's offense. He's going to use him and AGG in multiple ways. I feel like Inman will kind of be that guy that you see in the base formation that's out there at Z. But when it comes to targets and who's really going to see the ball, I think it's going to be Terry, Steve, and Gandy Golden.
Yeah, and that's one guy, man, I'm really excited to see how much he's got in the tank. And that's Gandy Golden, man. I mean, you throw in the highlights, you see explosive plays. You see a guy that plays a lot faster than his 40 time. And you see a guy that can go up and get jump balls, man. And I love what Gandy Golden could possibly bring. I just wonder how long it's going to take him to get picking up the offense. But that's one guy, man, I've got my eyes on is Gandy Golden.
Yeah, and one guy who actually plays two positions for the team could throw a wrench into all this, and that's Antonio Gibson, because he could see some time in slot receiver as well, which actually might put Steve Sims at the Z spot. Scott Turner is a creative offensive coordinator, and I'm sure he's going to have a fun time with this group. It may not sound like the most talented group. I believe NFL Network ranked us like dead last in the league as far as wide receivers. I can understand that. It's not like these guys have lengthy careers where people can say, oh, they've done this, they've done that. But the potential with this group is definitely high, and Scott Turner can get the best of them, I think, which I think he will, and I think they'll surprise a lot of teams.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, another guy, too, to keep our eyes on, because, I mean, we're talking a lot about Steve Sims, and we know where he came from. He came from an undrafted rookie. Another guy to keep an eye out for is Isaiah Wright out of Temple, man. If you go back and watch some Isaiah Wright highlights, this dude is explosive, man. Very explosive, great straight line speed, and pretty shifty, too. He killed it on punt and kick returns for Temple. He's the type of guy similar to Antonio Gibson who could even take a handoff. He can run the ball. He can catch the ball. Honestly, his tape reminds me a lot of Antonio Gibson's. Isaiah Wright is another guy that could be a sleeper. And you know what? I'm going to say it now. I think Isaiah Wright makes the team.
Yeah, he might, honestly. We haven't talked too much about Trey Quinn, but I don't know if he makes the team. I haven't heard too much about him, Some of these guys from the old regime might see the axe, and Isaiah Wright is definitely a guy to keep an eye on. I'm going to be honest with you, though, Bryce. I'm going to be honest. I know you're not a preseason guy, but all these position battles, all this talk, makes me really miss preseason, bro. Like, I need to see these guys battle out in live action on the field. I want to see what Dwayne looks like with Sadiq Charles at left tackle or Cornelius Lucas at left tackle. I want to see who the coaches put out there with the quote-unquote ones. I want to see who's already in their favor, man. I hate COVID.
COVID is whack. COVID's super whack, man. I'm right with you. Like, it's not that I really miss the preseason, but if it was on, I would be watching it for damn sure. And I think that it sucks that we don't get to it just ruins our opinions that we have going into the first game. When that first game comes, bro, we ain't really gonna know nothing about it. Like, we're gonna know, obviously, we're gonna know who's gonna be out there, literally. We're not gonna know. It's gonna be a lot more mysteries, man. There's gonna be a lot more mysteries of who's gonna be relied on to do what. And I don't know, maybe we'll try to find a positive out of it and just be excited for the suspense.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting. As soon as they release that first depth chart, I'm going to be all over that, though. So we'll definitely keep you guys, the listeners, updated as always, man. That's what we do. We follow the culture here. Before we get out of here, man, I just want to, again, say, prayers and best wishes to Coach Ron Rivera and his family. Very inspirational that he's going to keep pushing through. We definitely appreciate having him as a coach in an area like this.
Yeah, for sure, man. Prayers up for Ron, man. Speedy recovery. And I'm sure, well, I'm not sure, but I hope that the players, play every down they've got for him because he deserves it.
Absolutely. As always, man, Bryce and Rome, hail to the culture.
Hail to the culture.
My hitters be moving and shaking and stay out the streets. Your hitters be hating, your hitters be looking so weak. My hitters be moving and shaking and stay out the streets. Your hitters be hating, your hitters be looking so. Snuff the shooter, snuff the looter, snuff the booster, snuff the money mover. Snuff the hater, snuff the player, snuff your hairline, tape up and shape up.